Hi everyone, so I'm here today to do the Harry Potter Spells book tag. Now I saw our friend Bookroast doing this tag recently and I thought it sounded like a lot of fun. I'm not sure who the original creator is, but I'll try to find their channel and link it down below. So this tag is pretty self-explanatory. We have a Harry Potter spell and a corresponding question with a book to go with it. So the first prompt is Expecto Patronum, and this is a book that has good childhood memories for you. And for this one I went with Angus, Thongs, and Full-Frontal Snogging by Louise Rennison. I haven't read the entire series, but I do remember specifically reading this first book as probably a 13-year-old with my friends, and we were laying on my bed and one of my male friends was reading out loud from this book, and I just remember we were like peeing ourselves laughing, just like sitting in my bedroom. So there was a specific memory associated with this one, and to this day it was probably just one of my most fondest memories of being a child. The second prompt is Expelliarmus, a book that took you by surprise, and for this I went with I'm Not Missing by Carrie Fountain. Now I read this back for Booktubeathon, so fairly recently, and I didn't really know anything about it going in, but it is just a very moving and heartfelt contemporary story that has really stuck with me. It's about a girl named Miranda whose best friend, who she really leans on for everything, suddenly kind of disappears and she doesn't know why or what's happening, and her kind of journey to accept that her friend is gone, and just there's a romance and her relationship with her family, and I just absolutely loved it. Contemporary is not typically my favorite genre. I do really like it, but I don't often get standouts that really stick with me, and this one definitely did. So prompt number 3 is Prior Incantato, and that is the last book you read, and this was another one that was a huge surprise, and that is Spell on Wheels. This was a graphic novel that I kind of heard a little bit about, but didn't know too much on, but I found it on Book Outlet, so I decided to pick it up. I read this on the plane when I was coming home recently, and I loved it. This was so much fun, and it's just kind of like a feminist witch road trip book, and I just absolutely adored it. I'm a little bit sad because it ends in a way where there definitely could be more volumes, and from my research I don't think there is going to be any more at this point in time, but this is phenomenal and it can stand on its own, so you should definitely pick it up. So prompt number 4 is Alohamora, and this is a book that introduced you to a genre you hadn't considered before, and I went with The Snowman by Jo Nesbo. This was very scary. It's a mystery thriller, and apparently the genre is a Norse thriller. Apparently that's a thing. I didn't realize it was a thing. Now I know. Really enjoyed this, but it's super creepy. Like, it was almost too scary for me, but I did enjoy it, and I would like to pick up more of Jo Nesbo's works, because I think this might be the 8th book in this series. So prompt number 5 is Riddikulus, and this is a book that made you laugh, or a funny book, and I went with Let's Pretend This Never Happened, a mostly true memoir by Jenny Lawson. Now I often talk about Furiously Happy, which is Jenny Lawson's second memoir. This is her first, and I don't think it is as funny as Furiously Happy, but I still thoroughly enjoyed this one. I do think it's good to start with this memoir if you haven't read Furiously Happy yet. I just love Jenny Lawson. If you are looking to dive into memoirs, these are definitely good ones. So the next prompt is Sonorus, and this is a book you think everybody should know about. Now I kind of went back and forth on this one because I was like, what book should everybody know about? So I kind of narrowed it down to a book that everybody who is in the book community should know about, just because I don't have a book that everybody's gonna love. But I think if you're bookish, you're definitely gonna love The Storied Life of A.J. Fickery by Gabrielle Zevin. Again, another book I read during Booktubeathon. It was a successful Booktubeathon for me. And this is just a book about books, and it's so heartfelt, and I absolutely adore it, and if you're bookish, you probably will too. So next up is Obliviate, and that is a book or a spoiler that you would like to forget you read. Again, another prompt I kind of struggled with, because even if I read a book that I don't like, I still appreciate the fact that I've read it, but I picked one that I really didn't like. I went through my 1-star reads on Goodreads to see one I could forget about reading. Something that just doesn't have any value in my life. And that is Carrier of the Mark by Lee Fallon. This is Twilight. Like, 100%. It's just Twilight. It's set in Ireland. But I remember as I was reading it, there was almost line for line quotes, it felt like, from Twilight. And I remember after I finished and I was reading other people's reviews, there was one reviewer who had broken down scene by scene how this book is just Twilight. I didn't like it. 1 star. meh. If I could go back and not read it, I'd probably do that. Right, so next up is Imperio, and that is a book you had to read for school. Now, I actually didn't have to read that many books as I was going through school, but one I did have to read during elementary school was The Gamage Cup by Carol Kendall. And I don't think many people had to read this in school, but I really, really liked it. It's kind of set in this fantasy town in which everybody follows the rules, and there are 3 characters who decide to start breaking the rules by like painting their doors different colors and things like that, and they get banished from the town. And the main character's name is actually Muggles, so this is definitely pre-Harry Potter. This is one I could probably do with a reread of because I read it a very, very long time ago, but I really, really liked it as a school read and had so much fun reading it, and I was in Mr. Zahara's class at the time. So next up is Crucio, and that is a book that was painful to read, and I do mean this one in a very good way, but that is The Marrow Thieves by Sherry Dimeline. I really, really enjoyed this book. It is a dystopian book following a bunch of indigenous characters, and it is just very real and raw and disturbing, as it should be. It's a very short book, but I definitely encourage people to pick this one up. And finally, we have Avada Kedavra, and that is a book that could kill, interpret as you will. And for this one, I went with The Serpent King by Jeff Zentner. I can't say why, but I will say when I was reading this book, I was in the middle of it. I was actually staying at Karina's house, and I didn't live in Vancouver yet, and she walked inside, and I was like, how dare you? I was just so taken aback. This is, like, I was like, it killed me. It killed me. I love this book with all my heart, but there is a moment in there that you're gonna want to die. So, really, really good. If you haven't picked up this one up yet, another one that I encourage you to read. Alright, so that was the Harry Potter Spells book tag. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do this tag, please let me know. I think it's a really, really fun one. I always love Harry Potter tags. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Happy reading, and thanks for being awesome. Bye!